Welcome to the Ohio Adult Allies Podcast Season 2, where we are developing, inspiring, and empowering youth leaders. In this episode, we discuss making it happen, moving to implementation.
Welcome. I am Raylette Johnson, CEO with Sherrays and Associates and TTJ Group LLC. I am so honored to guest host this episode of the Ohio Adult Allies podcast featuring Avalise Perez and Dr. Marquita Robinson. Welcome, welcome. Let's introduce our guest today. Please give me your name, organization, and experience in working with youth. Let's start off with you, Ms. Avalise Perez.
Hi, that's a pleasure for me being here. My name is Avalise Perez. I was working with the prevention in one of the nonprofit agency here in Cleveland, Ohio, working with kids and youth, and I was my patient working with them, and I'm so happy to be here today.
Thank you. Dr. Marquita Robinson.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Hello, my name is Dr. Marquita Robinson, and I'm the Executive Director of the Urban Minority Alcoholism and Drug Abuse Outreach Program of Dayton, also known as the UMADOP of Dayton. I've been working in the field of prevention for over 17 years, and I am a prevention consultant, and I am happy to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you so kindly, Dr. Robinson. So today's title of the podcast is Making It Happen, putting things into implementation. And these wonderful guests right here, let me tell you, they have some experience, especially when it comes to implementing youth programming. So let's get started. How do you get the right group to participate in becoming an adult ally? Dr. Robinson.
Well, I think one of the biggest things as engaging from the adult aspect, their whole role is to guide and lead the youth of having that voice. And so you want to choose an adult that one can be able to relate to the youth and meet them where they're at. Two, have a passion for engaging with youth. And then three, most importantly, have a passion for working in the field of prevention and motivating youth to move forward.
Do you have anything to add to that, Avalise?
For me, you can get the right people to become an adult ally when they have the passion and the commitment and the best interest to empower, approach the youth people with the opportunity to develop critical knowledge, skills, and attitude while impacting their family and their community. This is very important because if they don't feel it, you had the passion and you were there for them, it's a little bit challenging working.
So speaking of challenges, what are some of the challenges with finding the right individuals to be a part of the group?
In the part of the challenge is a little bit hard and take a time to find the right person had that passion, that have that sensibility, that empathy, that you can work in with them and they can be open it, because it's not like a little kids. The little kids, they open it so easily, but with youth, you need to work in a little bit more with them.
And what would you say, Dr. Robinson? What are some of those challenges with finding the right individuals to be a part of the group?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we have experienced is finding someone that was culturally relevant to understanding the group population that we are targeting to serve. One of the other areas of challenges that we have experienced is the fact that that gap in the age difference, as opposed to one of the biggest things about a youth adult ally, the closer to the youth that they can be, the more relatable and engaging of that relationship and that connection can happen. A lot of times you have more older adults that are really in depth into wanting to help the youth move forward. And so there tends to be a gap, a connection with the youth and that adult. So being able to find that right person that can be able to fit, irregardless of what their age range is, but being able to connect with the youth is really, really important.
So, Dr. Robinson, what are some outcomes for the end of the process?
The outcomes of the end of the process is to actually be able to not only give the youth a voice, to be able to address the things that are going on that are affecting them, but also motivating and leading them to be productive in adulthood. Reaching some successes, whether it's higher education, stability within life, employment, entrepreneurship, and different things like that. And so the whole concept of this is not only to be able to lead the youth into being able to speak in what is affecting them from their perspective and how they're dealing with it or not, but also the ability to be able to continue to moving forward in life despite the risk factors that are affecting them.
Do you have anything to add to that, Ms. Avalise?
I agree with Dr. Makita, and you need to be there for them, and they feel successful. They feel like they are important, and they can make a difference, and they can handle any situation and any scenario in the best way for them.
Ms. Avalise, what are some tips for people of color in this field of work? You have any tips?
Well, in my experience, some tip for people of color in this field of work, that you will have empathy is very, 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 very important, and the patient to work with different scenario. And it's in the moment we have differences, and we have some situation is come to you, and how you de-escalate the situation in the best interest for the youth.
Well said. Dr. Robinson, do you have any tips for people of color in this field of work?
Well, I think one of the biggest tips, because in this field of work, there are not very many minorities or people of color that are credentialed at the level that we are capable of being credentialed at. So doing what you need to do to continue motivating yourself, increasing your knowledge, elevating yourself professionally as well as personally, to become more in depth within this community. Because one of the biggest things about working with this particular population is being able to be culturally relevant and engaging with our own people.
So well said, Dr. Robinson, so well said. So what are some theories that have come from this process that you would like to share with people of color as thoughts for implementation?
Well, again, I'm gonna go back to just what I spoke on as far as professional and personal development.
Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest theories is following along the concept of the strategic prevention framework. And so that continuous trainings and learning, for the simple fact the adult ally is not only in place to kind of guide the youth, but you need to be giving them good information. And so in order to be able to give them good information, you have to have good information. And so the continuous learning, the continuous training, the engaging and learning communities, developing and sharing ideas, thoughts, and concepts, because the conceptualization of this process can be very in-depth. And so I think that that would be one of the biggest theories of this concept, is this is a building process, not only of growth and development of the youth, but also of the development of the program.
So well said. What do you have to add to that, Miss Avalise?
And now I can tell you, every day we learn, um, even from them, and you can accommodate. Is depend on the population we have, depend on their needs they have, how we can instructor the action plan and put it in place, and they can be cover specific those needs. Is I'm very agree in the training area, because the most information you have, the more prepared you have, you can serve and help other better.
Yes.
Yes, Avalise. So well said. Thank you. Thank you. I told y'all this is going to be a podcast. It's on fire. Okay. What are some considerations? Now, listen to this one, you all. What are some considerations that you would like to convey with those who are implementing the program or this process?
The consideration you have to be covered is what is the people you serve, what is the demographic you have, what is their group. Because for me, in my experience, I always have together with them before I implement or start working with them in a specific project or program, because we need to know each other to be able to open up in the area we want to work in.
Well said. Dr. Robinson, what are some considerations that you would like to convey with those implementing the program or process?
Well, I think actually there are several considerations that need to be taken into place. One, when dealing with youth of color, they're coming from oppressed environments. So having an understanding and a consideration of those risk factors of the environments that they're coming from, the barriers that they are dealing with, and taking those into consideration, helping them be able to move through them, past them, or over them. But then also one of the things that should most importantly be considered is the fact that you as the adult ally can learn from them just as well as they can learn from you. So being open and letting that communication and engagement be two-way, as opposed to your perception of guiding is telling them what they're going to do or how they're going to do it. And then another thing that is really, really important that I think is relevant to consider is the factor of being able to allow them to be where they're at. One of the things that we want to understand is that the youth that we will be working with, youth of color, they're coming from an environment that had a lack of resources. There's inequality, there is a lack of equity. And so there are some things that they are missing. So my goal is not to find that good kid, but to find that kid that has potential and then build them and develop them up. And that's what's most important. You have to take those things in consideration, because all youth are not bad youth. They're just caught up in the risk factors and the exposures that are surrounding them, and being able to give them those protective factors and helping them be able to work through them. You can have a powerful asset there.
Dr. Robinson, did you just preach? I think you just preached. Oh, I told you all. You see today's the podcast title, Making It Happen, putting things into implementation. And I mean, Dr. Robinson, Miss Avalise, I mean, you ladies are on fire. I believe that was phenomenal. Any closing remarks that you have for our audience? Let's start with you, Dr. Robinson. Any closing remarks?
Well, first of all, I would like to thank you for having me on. I would like to thank the audience for taking the time to actually listen to this podcast. And I would like to encourage any of those that are interested in working with youth to take that in consideration. Follow the process, become a youth leader, become an ally, adult ally, or advocate for the youth. Our youth are our future, and we need to build them up.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Robinson. Ms. Avalise Perez.
Well, I wanted to thank you for inviting me be in this project and be an honor to be involved learning and discuss a lot of things in building in this project with this tremendous team. We had a diversity of leaders. They have a tremendous knowledge and experience. I can learn more and more. And for me, I'm be honored. I'm so happy for that. And I think we can be able to encourage more people to be part of this.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Avalise. And once again, my name is Raylette Johnson, and I would love to thank Ohio Adult Allies for allowing me to be a guest host for this podcast. Once again, making it happen, putting things into implementation. Thank you so kindly. Have a great day.
Thank you for joining us today on the Ohio Adult Allies podcast. If you would like more information on our work, visit us at ohioadultallies.com. You can find more episodes on Spotify, iTunes, and other platforms by searching Ohio Adult Allies.